What's going on, everybody? It's Alex over at Boost Controlled Performance. Wanted to make a quick video today. A lot of the time when I make a video, or maybe the reason why I don't make videos is because I want to get the production quality up. But sometimes I think it's just worth making a video on the fly when something is relevant and just getting it out there. So something that I see pretty frequently on, I almost said the forums, but Facebook pages, which have kind of replaced the forums, is Subaru owners talking about feedback knock, fine knock learning, and dam dropping. And I see comments that I feel like are coming from a place of confusion, the owners, and then comments coming from tuners that are maybe a little misleading, or people selling tunes that aren't answering questions like a tuner because they're not the tuner. They're just selling tunes for someone else. But I just wanted to clear the air with what I believe is some objective information about seeing your dam drop, seeing fine knock learning. Is this good? Is this bad? Because it comes up so much, and I feel like people value how good a tune is based on some of the way they interpret data, and the way they're interpreting the data is ultimately based on what other people are telling them. We see sometimes we get like a bias of information that just gets tossed around because somebody else said it and somebody else thought it made sense. So I just wanted to talk about some objective truths about how the knock detection system works on your Subaru. So this is a knock sensor. This is actually a knock sensor off of a VR38, which is a GTR engine. This was just the closest one to my office, so I grabbed it. And you know, your engine has one of these on a Subaru. So the engine that I'm mainly talking about today would be the 22 and up WRX, the FA24 DIT, because I feel like this comes up more than any other car, and for some good reason. So inside this knock sensor is a piezo crystal that essentially acts like a microphone to engine vibration, and it turns that noise that it hears into an electric signal. So what happens when you see feedback knock or fine knock learning on your access port, or sometimes in case the dam dropping, this sensor right here is generating a signal, and the ECU is interpreting it as spark knock. Now, I didn't want this to become a video about what is spark knock. I want to be very general with it, but I see terms thrown around like pre-detonation, which isn't even a thing, but detonation or spark knock is an unintended, uncontrollable explosion that happens after your fuel air mixture is ignited. I say unintended and uncontrolled because it's not controlled by the tuner in the ECU. So this can be a problem because when the explosion occurs, will dictate everything. It'll dictate torque, it'll dictate the safety of the burn, it'll dictate cylinder pressure. So we want to have full control. So when we have a knock event like that, it will typically generate a sound. I would compare it kind of to like a hammer tapping on a piece of ceramic, like a tile, kind of a tick tick sound, and that knock sensor picks up that sound. So sometimes, obviously, spark knock is very real. It's a turbocharged engine, it's higher compression, and on gasoline-based fuels, we make the most amount of torque at borderline knock. So the closer we get to it knocking, the more torque we make. So it's important to point out that if you want the most power, which everyone, I won't say everyone, most people seem to want, oh, look at how much power we just made on 93. Look at how good our tune is because of how much power we made. Understand that doing that on a gasoline-based fuel, you're getting closer to the knock threshold. So just wanted to point that out. But in some situations, we find that spark knock can be false. It could be something on the engine generating noise. It could be something rattling. It can be just general engine vibration. The knock detection system is not without flaws. It it does pick up false knocks sometimes, but the trade-offs of having an overly sensitive knock system, I would say, are pretty good. Overly sensitive, it keeps the engine safer. Sometimes you might get a reduction in power because of an overreaction, but I'd rather have that than it be underreactive and have a serious issue. So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing on aftermarket tunes. So I think I saw somebody ask a question like, my dam never drops with my tune. Does that mean I have a good tune? Okay, let's objectively talk about what this means. It's impossible for anyone to answer that question without looking at all of the data. So what does the knock frequency look like? What do the timing tables look like? What's actually happening in the engine? And we don't know that. But what we do know is that the FA24 has an extremely sensitive knock detection system. I've seen stock cars drop the dam on good fuel randomly while cruising on the highway. I have taken our own development car that was otherwise stock and put E85 in the tank, which is not only 105-ish octane, but has a much higher latent heat of vaporization rate. So the cooling effect is almost unequivocal in any other fuel that you can put in this car. And with stock or less than stock ignition timing, seen feedback knock and fine knock learning and even dam dropping while cruising on the highway at 68 miles an hour. Furthermore, we've used Plex knock monitor detection systems that actually translate the sound that this creates into something we can hear on headphones and been able to reason with whether or not that knock was real or not as well. So what I have found in my testing is that these engines very commonly create false knock. It's actually so common that Cobb Tuning released in our Pro Tuner documents that the general public doesn't see. They said in so many words, I'll paraphrase, that this engine has issues with false knock correction. So if you have a tune and the dam is never dropping and you're never seeing any feedback knock or fine knock learning, I'm not going to say it with certainty, but there's about a 95% chance that your tuner increased the knock threshold levels. What does that mean? It means the tables inside your tune have a threshold for where the amount of noise this makes goes from just background noise to, hey, we actually might have a problem here. When we raise those thresholds, guess what? Now the ECU does not report feedback knock or fine knock learning, and you, the end user, are looking at your access port going, ooh, I feel warm and fuzzy. So I don't have a problem with adjusting the knock sensor sensitivity, but I do think it's interesting that everyone seems to tiptoe around it. I've seen people ask people selling tunes, hey, do you know if your tuner adjusts this? And then I don't see a response. So I think it's kind of a taboo topic. I talk to my customers openly about it. There are many cases where we do raise that threshold. The key is to raise it to a point where it's not overreactionary, but also not underreactionary. And it's very difficult for a tuner to do that without a lab type situation where we have lab quality cylinder pressure transducers, and without getting into all that, it's not super realistic. So the kind of cumulative information that the tuning community ends up agreeing upon is when we find out where good stopping points are for the knock sensitivity. And every tuner is going to kind of have their own range for that. But as a general rule of thumb, ethanol offers such a cushion that typically if you're seeing knock corrections on E85 literally just cruising around, it's almost 100% of the time false. When we see people talking about whether or not their tune is good because they're dam, it's really subjective, and it really falls on whether or not the calibrator is adjusting those tables. Now, to be clear, my methodology here is I err a little bit on the side of caution. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I want to remind my clients that if you see your dam dropping a little bit, it's not the end of the world. The system is working as intended. A lot of vehicles, not just Subarus, use systems like this where the end user never sees what it's doing. Anyone from Ford to GM, BMW, there's a lot of companies that use a system like this where the ECU changes the perceived octane. When the dam goes down, it's like the ECU saying, hey, I might not have the best fuel right now, and I'm just going to reduce the power a little bit. It's interesting to me that people get so bothered by this and so disturbed. I mean, I've had people, call me like they're having an emergency because their dam dropped, and the system is just acting as it's supposed to. A good analogy for this might be, maybe you're someone who exercises a lot, and maybe you are a runner and you are concerned that you have an injury in your foot, so you slow down your pace a little until you can figure out what's going on with your foot. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a precautionary measure. So I just kind of wanted to clear the air on that a little bit and just say that is how the FA24 NOx system works. This is what we've been seeing. This is what we've been seeing across many cars. It's not just one car, it's multiple cars. And I just wanted to throw that out there. So if anybody has any questions about how this stuff works, throw it in the comments. If anybody has any questions about anything maybe I forgot to cover, definitely throw it out there. But key takeaways here are, if your dam drops, don't panic. It means it's working as intended. And please don't think that if you have a tune where you never see any knock correction, that means it's a good tune. Because I don't think it's good or bad or anything in between. It's just, how are the knock sensors calibrated? I personally think that erring on the side of caution makes more sense, and you probably would too. Would you rather your ECU protect your engine, or would you rather your engine be in danger due to poor fuel quality or something like that, but you're just happy because you never saw any feedback knock? I mean, think about it. You want your engine to be protected. So that's what the system is designed for. I just want to throw that out there and educate some people. If you want to get a tune, or you want to talk about tuning your car, certainly reach out to us. Got a couple links in the description. So thanks for watching today. Talk to you guys soon.